Hello. Welcome to another episode of Write Once, Read Many. This time we're covering chapter 13.4, and just going to take a moment to get the link out there. All right, so hopefully people will show up to this odd time stream. Let's see. We got Greg here. Hey, a midweek stream, and Vale. That's my secret. I'm always here. Yeah, Vale's always just hanging out in the chat, even when no one else is here, or I'm not streaming, you know. As a reminder, the audience participation question is, do you think it's overall a good thing or a bad thing for the Undersiders that Mannequin gave up his turn to burn Scar? So we'll discuss that at the end. And then for themes, we've got some classics, compartmentalization, and bullying. The most classic themes of all. Vale says, heck, I have to write my not joking answer still. Yeah, you gotta. Let's see here. So, for compartmentalization, I kind of thought that it's laced throughout the whole chapter. Like, whenever she thinks and then avoids thinking about the victims of the attack by Mannequin and Burn Scar. And then bullying, she literally calls them bullies. So, just like, they're bullies. And, you know, they kind of are, but... Well, not too much more to say on those. I'm gonna get into the chapter summaries as the, I'm just gonna quiet the song a little bit more as it enters its final act. But we get bad. We start with Skitter thinking in italics. That's how you know it's bad. Plus there's 4 of them. At least 4 times as bad as a single bad. So, Burn Scar is powering walls of fire to block the Undersiders from escaping. It's raining and the ground has a layer of water, but it isn't enough to like stop these flames given their, you know, super powering and so forth. So anywhere where there's like trash or where there's debris that brings things above the waterline, it can burn. Skitter was mentally prepared to fight a Tinker and so forth, but it's kind of funny because the body that Mannequin is using and Burn Scar's power are both different configurations of blaster, shaker, mover power sets. For Mannequin, he's got the guns for the blasters, and then we've got the projected flames from Burn Scar. And then for the shaker, the gas really... sorry, guys. The gas really affects things and makes an area a problem. And also the, like, lingering flames and the, like, ability to move them around to a certain degree is Burn Scar's version of the shaker. And then the mover, Mannequin is so fast and like so nimble that he can scale buildings, go downward through them, like run about, bounce off walls, things like that. And then Burn Scar's got like almost like even better version with the teleport. But either way, I thought it was kind of interesting how much power overlap there was between things when I really thought about it. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I was gonna read this Burn Scar line to remember how weird and flat she is, so I gotta kind of get myself together so I don't cough during. So just a second. I am following the rules now. Let's see. Trying to remember how this is supposed to go. Test you, you pass or fail, and then I kill you. Yeah, so yeah. She's kind of talks like a rather odd person. Almost like she has some sort of weird personality disorder that's fueled by her powers also. Skitter is bantering without thinking too much about what she says. She's thinking about weapons and attacks and stuff. You know, the usual Skitter stuff. Burnscar calls Skitter an alien, to which she responds that she's actually a bug. So, like, it's a lot higher class. Bug versus alien. As I recall, in Pokemon, bug type defeats alien type every time, so... yeah. Burnscar starts telling Bitch what the test is, and she's sort of building up to it without really saying anything. She's talking around the issue. So Bitch tells her to get on with it. You're going to have to face your greatest fear. Destroy any hold it has on you with violence, blood, and death. I don't want you to just conquer your fears. I want you to murder them before anyone else can use your feelings for them against you. So, you know, she lays out the test pretty plain, but initially, everybody, like Bitch and Taylor and Gru, they all assume that she means the dogs. And so Bitch takes a moment to respond before saying that she's not hurting her dogs. And then Burnscar, I kind of forgot how many great lines she has, and I tried not to pull too many out, so I skipped her dialogue at this bit, but she tells her how she'll get more dogs, and the hole in her heart will mend and stuff, and then Skitter rebuts, a wound like that never heals! It kind of, it's almost Sora-esque, in how just, like, normal hero of a line it is to yell, I guess. Sora, of course, from Kingdom Hearts. Anyway, so Bitch looks at Skitter but doesn't say anything. And Burnscar sort of turns things around on them and says that she thinks Bitch has a greater fear, so she's taking the dogs off the table. She wants Bitch to kill Skitter and Gru. Dun dun dun! That's supposed to be my biggest fear? I don't give two shits about them. So, a little bit undercut, but Burnscar lays it all out there. Cuts through the emotional walls of bullshit that Bitch is projecting to the world. She says that Bitch isn't going to get another opportunity like this to have human companionship, and that Bitch won the lottery getting into this team setup. Greg says, who in the Undersiders is Goofy and who is Donald? So, Goofy is Biter, and Donald is Barker. There we go. Boom, nailed it. I know they're not like full-fledged Undersiders, but they're like underlings of the Undersiders. They're not like friends with Taylor. I'm just thinking of, you know, Donald's voice. And like Biter yelling and having a voice exploding power. I think if Donald swore at people with his crazy Donald voice, that they would get exploded like Barker was using his power at them. So I think that's a secret about the Disney universe. Where was I here? So, Bitch isn't very impressed with this from Burnscar, and Burnscar says that she's too fucked up to get anything good in her life again, or this good in her life again. Bitch says that she talks too much, but continues to press on, and my word. She says that they know through Cherish that the team bonds to Bitch are fraying. When Bitch asks why she should even listen to Burnscar, she gets a pretty convincing threat in return. She'll consider it a failed test, and kill her teammates, and kill her dogs, and then leave Bitch behind. And then Bitch says, "Fuck you!" but is still eyeing Skitter and Gru in a way that they both seem to independently pick up on as a bad sign. So Skitter becomes increasingly worried. Then we get, "She's considering it!" And so it's all italicized before she starts acting on a spur-of-the-moment plan to sneak some spicy bugs over to Burnscar and to, hurt her. I put cut her in the eyes here because of Adventure Time, but I think generally attack. Gru also starts doing his thing, which gives Skitter some cover. So this is a delightful bit of banter back and forth. So you're doing it wrong. What? Did you even read the rules Jack gave us? Yes, I did. Then why are you doing it differently than he did? Doing it differently? This isn't that complicated. How's it going to look if you do it wrong? I imagine Mannequin's going to get punished for fucking up, but at least he tried. If you screw up here, right at the beginning, you really think your team is going to be impressed? No, they're going to be embarrassed. And I bet they'll take it out on the person who embarrassed them. Man, this is one of Gru's greatest ploys. I just love it. He's just totally goes for it here. And he does buy Taylor time to do her thing without even knowing that that's happening. But it's great. But even after that amazing performance from Gru, we unfortunately have Correct the Record Mannequin over here to tell Burnscar that Gru is lying. And while he tries one last time to sow doubt, Burnscar doesn't believe him, so Skitter has to attack now. Suddenly, from all sides, spicy bugs fly in to immediately bite and sting. So that's pretty cool. I like the idea of imagining all the shadows. Although I'm not sure how many shadows there can really be in this all flames environment. But imagine that suddenly, from out of nowhere, bugs to the face. Be pretty good. And then Skitter gets her on the hands, ankles, neck, and face. Stepping in to ruin the fun, like always, Mannequin does what any good teammate would do and throws Burnscar into a pile of burning trash at top speed. I mean, really, a pile of burning trash, that's Burnscar's favorite place to be, so... unfortunately, the bugs get burnt up. They aren't inside of any small bubble of Manton effect or any trick of teleportation like when they get pulled along with Oni Lee or anything like that. So, doesn't work out for us this time. Bugs gone. But as Burnscar teleports, Gru gets them moving. Bitch has Bastard charged through the flaming debris and trash, knocking a path forward for them. Vale says, that's like trying to scare Skitter with a plastic spider on a string. Yeah, I suppose. I just think that it is metaphorically funny that he throws her into a pile of burning trash. Not necessarily like it's actually bad for her. But, And Mannequin, just the worst. He's just here to, like, ruin any moment that Taylor's about to have. Let's see here. So, Bitch rides out on Sirius, and the other two run after her. Hot. Another single-word paragraph to emphasize a point. Gru and Skitter are both injured and trying to support each other, moving forward. And even though it only takes them 6 steps to get past the barrier, they're still too slow, and Skitter is, like, caught on fire through the experience. Gru uses his darkness on Skitter while she's rolling around to try and use the shallow standing water on the street to put herself out. She's, like, fully panicking and thrashing around once the darkness is down there, and she, like, can both acknowledge the situation in her mind, like, has a version of herself that is compartmentalized and can think straight, and her body is flipping the fuck out. And it's not just that she's hurting, but the lack of awareness, including having any bugs in the surrounding area to scout, which she can't do because of the flames. It all compounds to her flipping the fuck out. But Gru has seemingly used his leather jacket to scoop water onto Skitter and then, like, smother the remaining flames with the jacket itself. And he pulls her to her feet, and she's simultaneously freaking out on the inside now and keeping it together for the fight on the outside. So it kind of flips. It's kind of interesting. As soon as she begins to put together a mental map of the area she's in, she notices that the main feature of the landscape is fire. So Gru leads the way out as they run together, and they fall several times due to their injuries and terrain. They're running all the way out of the darkness that Gru had set up, and then they're at the shattered boardwalk, and they slide down the sand to get themselves close to the water, and when they look back, Skitter's territory is on fire. There are a few things protecting the buildings, like the rain and the lasting ground-level darkness, but a bunch of the area is still burning down, and, it's a bad scene, as they say. But, we get back to Gru saying, "Come on, Taylor. We can deal with all that later. Right now, we've just got to get away. We survive." Survive. Skitter spends a paragraph completely down on herself, puts together a list of all the bad things she ever did, or was even proximately close to, into one tight summary, and then she's like, "What the hell had I been thinking? Wanting to become a superhero." And, like, I think they're being a little hard on yourself. She's in a bad headspace now, but when Gru tries to urge her on, she says they need to go back to help Genesis. At first, Gru is, like, saying she can keep reforming bodies and stuff, so it's fine, but Skitter is like, "Her real body's in my lair, though." And then he's like, "Oh, it could be burning down. We should go back." So he's gonna call Bitch on the phone, but Skitter thinks that it could distract her, or the ringer might tip off Burnscar to her position at a bad moment. So they run to the storm drain and use the wall to support themselves instead of each other so they can hobble down the corridor. Getting through the tunnels and into the cellar, they get upstairs to the main floor and find the building is not on fire. Skitter sets some bugs as a fire alarm system for herself and then heads to the bedrooms looking for Genesis and finds Charlotte hunkered down with like 15 kids. Charlotte tells Skitter that when Mannequin was coming in, he killed the parents of families and let the kids escape. And Skitter's all, "Stop! I don't want to hear it. This is my failure." And in some ways it's good that Skitter thinks that the buck stops with her, but she's also willing to take on guilt from things that other people are doing And, I mean, with the things in total that I think she takes credit for, it's like she thinks her job is to protect everyone all the time, which is not realistic given the scale of her problems and the world's problems. Anyway, Skitter tells Charlotte that she did good and asks about Genesis arriving. Charlotte moves aside, revealing Genesis sleeping there. Vale says, don't underestimate Taylor. She can do anything, including take responsibility for any issue at any time. Exactly. That's one of her powers, actually, is that she can, like, aggro all blame onto herself. Anyway. Where was I? Oh, yeah. She's not sure what will happen if she moves Genesis and doesn't want to accidentally take her out of a fight with Mannequin or Burnscar. When Skitter senses out with Bugs, she finds that there are at least 30 to 40 bodies just on the interiors of the buildings. And Skitter orders Charlotte to take the kids and hide in the storm drain that they can access through the cellar. It's fireproof and a better hiding spot than the, first floor room they're in. Skitter is shook looking at these war orphans calmly getting ready to hide in the storm shelter. Or storm sewer, rather. And Gru asks what she's thinking. She says that they hide these guys, stay here, and she'll scout the battle, and they bounce with Genesis's real body right away if things go bad. Vale said, only child syndrome, doesn't know how to share. Doesn't know how to share the blame. When Skitter senses out Charlotte points out that Genesis needs a wheelchair that they have folded up right now. Gru and Skitter don't seem thrilled about this development. I think Gru says, Taylor thinks, can't ever be easy. And they use this time while they're waiting to manage their wounds. Now that they have time to, look at them and not continuously run around, Skitter starts running cold water over all her burns, and Gru gets out the first aid kit and rips through his costume pants so he can treat his legs. Because they still... Because Gru was shot in the fight, a couple chapters ago before they rode through the city. So he's got a backlog of wounds at this point. Let's see here. Skitter finds Genesis outside and tries to help by attacking Burnscar when she feels the direction the attack is coming from, but whenever she can attack Burnscar, then Burnscar will just teleport away, and then Skitter has to wait again. So she's finding herself trying to distract her mind from things. She doesn't say it specifically, but it's pretty easy to see that she means distracting herself away from all the people who have just been killed. Unlike when she feels trapped, she doesn't get some kind of special power bonus or anything. It's just sort of, she feels bad. So Skitter suddenly says that they can't do this. Gru's confused, so she elaborates that they're not going to last. He says they got unlucky. They're taking the brunt of things early on. And Skitter says the 9 will focus them down until picking the next target when they've killed them. So Skitter's pretty much flipping out right now. They're going to do the same thing they're doing to us, and they're not just going to win, they're going to ruin everything while they do it. So Gru tells her to stop and grabs her wrist when she gets up to leave, and she slips his grip. Don't do that. He asks her what she's doing, and she says she's going to go out there and fight these bullies. She uses the word bullies because she's just like, it's really clear how I see the world, and I can't see my own patterns very easily. It is good that I have friends around me to stop me from going out and getting killed. These damn bullies. But she has the idea that she'll bait out Burnscar and then like take her out with poisonous bugs or something. It doesn't seem very convincing to me or anyone when they read that paragraph, I think. Group points out how she can barely walk, and if the 9 find her, she can't run. To which she says an edgy teen one-liner, "Sick of running." Vale says at some point the word bullies is replaced by other words, mostly when it is no longer a classmate making fun of you. Yeah. They're not really just bullies. They're like murderers. They're serial killers. They're mass murderers, I guess. Weird torturers. There are a lot of things. I guess they're also bullies. It just seems like not exactly the top of the list. Then we go ahead and see. Oh, yes. Don't do this. If you want to get revenge on those guys, if you want to help your people, you need to stop, rest, recover, and plan. Vale says, murderous sociopaths who want to murder? Boring. Bullies? Skitter is ready to fight. You've said the key words. So, boop, 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 boop. Skitter tries for a moment to get past Gru, but her injuries hurt too bad. She feels weak and hates it. Genesis wakes up and gets into her wheelchair, then joins them. Gru asks if they woke her up, and she says that when she's activated her power, only she can wake herself up. And it's more like she's in a coma. Gru backs off from Skitter now that they're with someone, but he still stands between her and the exit, so she can't run out the front door and get fried by Burnscar. Skitter reflects that he had been right, and that she might have just let her anger take control and gotten herself killed. She's embarrassed that she needed to be stopped at all. Genesis explains that after the initial gas attack, she had begun to set up a form to fight Mannequin, but had found Burnscar when she appeared instead. And while she couldn't stop Burnscar, she also couldn't be hurt, so eventually Burnscar left. Skitter asks if Genesis can help fight the fire. She will, even though she's low on energy. Skitter thanks her and she apologizes for not being able to stop them before she returns to the bed to use her power again. Vale says, can you imagine an AU Taylor who stops caring about bullying and learns to play guitar or something vaguely anime? It would be so wholesome. I don't know if it would be wholesome with Taylor there. I feel like Taylor could unwholesome anything. In any situation. She's pretty extreme, and she's a teenage edgelord, so... let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. So, Skitter feels guilty for the people who died, and then double guilty because of feeling like the guilt is coming from a selfish place, that place being the need to save Dinah. And, I get what she's saying about feeling this way, and I get that it's not always directly logical. But I would point out that she is in fact saying that wanting to save a little girl is too selfish of a motivation. So... Taylor, Anyway, Taking off her mask, she lets it drop to the ground, and when she sees her costume burned and in tatters, what she's really seeing is her self-image of herself potentially being a superhero as burned and in tatters. Vale says, can't be selfish, of course. I said, Taylor 5D chesses herself into trying to come up with if this is all intentional from Jack. This is one of the many things I'm going to blame on, like, lack of sleep that Taylor continuously has, because I kind of find this thing to be, this paragraph to be hilarious. Our enemies were good. They were smart. Mannequin had been toying with us, and we'd taken advantage of that and beaten him to the ground with it. Like, that's all normal. And then she goes on to go, but every action was calculated. Cherish was informing them. Shatterbird was apparently smart in other ways, and Jack was the brains of the operation. Had Jack calculated things so everything would play out the way he wanted, like Mannequin was? And, like, in some ways, yes, and in some ways it's good to be paranoid, but, like, I don't think these thoughts really connect that heavily. Like, her immediately thinking, like, has everything been according to Keikaku for Jack? And, no, I think Jack is more of a Palpatine, where stuff just happens and he capitalizes moment to moment on things. I don't think he's really a planner. He doesn't need to be, and he doesn't want to be, I don't think. So there are some long-term things that when they get ruined, he's upset, but I think he likes it to be up in the air. Vale says, and of course, when your self-image is burned and in tatters, grab the X-Acto knife and fix things, especially if bugs can't eat the fused second-degree burned costume skin. Yeah, the metaphors keep rolling in, because you just gotta cut off those parts of your self-image that the bugs can't eat. Okay, so this is a back and forth. Bitch isn't replying. We should go look for her. Okay. You okay? Pissed. Me too. Though I get that you have more reason to be angry. I don't. I blink back tears. Fucking contact lenses. She doesn't say that out loud, but that's the voice that she would use. He wrapped his arms around me in a hug. You know, normally they can't see each other's expressions, and she can't see his expression. But in this moment of crying, which admittedly, on top of the sadness, she does have contact lenses, and she's been in smoke-filled air all day. Man, that'll make you tear up. So she finally has enough of a reason to let her body force out her emotions. And Vic's here in time to say, and then they kiss. Yeah, exactly. I literally, after that part, I said the Taylor Bryan shippers out there are flipping their shit right now. You know, this is a family-friendly story. Yeah. It's family-friendly because normally it's a story about bugs eating parts of things that you've X-Acto knifed off of other things. You know. So, there was something Vale said earlier, Vic, that I thought to myself, I'm going to have to make sure to say this to Vic. Maybe it wasn't on this. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe it was something I said to myself. But let's see here. I have just acquired the speed draw of this art. So let me get that going real quick. Oh, if only I was faster on the controls here. we go. Okay, needs to download. Oh, yeah, that's good. Vale says, I'm taking it as a compliment that you thought something funny and later think might have been me. Yeah. Too friendly of a family. Anyway, when Gru says they'll get through this, Taylor says, oh my god, I just totally let the background show. A Savannah background or whatever. It's just set to cycle a bunch of images that my brother has in a folder, so. Anyway. Where was I? Well, I was. There we go. Apparently there's a lot of erasing in this one. Have not seen it yet, so. Vic says, I struggle for real. Gru senses somehow that this time Taylor isn't as defeated when she's saying, like, if things keep going this way, they won't be able to win. They're too exhausted to fight. Seems a little different than a few minutes ago. And she says, because I realized Jack wants us to focus on each of his people one by one, because he knows it's going to play out like this. Oof. Started choking right as I started talking like that. He knows it's going to play out like it has so far, and that we won't make it through 8 rounds of this. Let's change that dynamic. We take out testers before they get their turn. We go on the offensive. Offensive? Dinah said that a direct attack would be suicide. So we go for the indirect attack. They want to play dirty? Let's play dirty back. Taylor's thinking about getting dirty after all this hugging and touching with Brian. So, final chapter thoughts. Oh yeah, this is the Vale time to talk about the art. So Vale, start effusively praising the art while it is the time for that. Vale says, the finger point has serious attitude with the stance. Cool. And then Vale says, I already did when I said that. That's all you've got to say, I guess. Or did you talk about it at the early top? I don't know. I thought this one was really cool. I know Vic doesn't like it so much because too many mannequin pics, but personally, I like the color palette. I like the way that that Burn Scar looks. And like I said to Vic, I actually I have a really hard time like imagining Burn Scar. Before this image, I was never able to like satisfyingly think of what Burn Scar was supposed to look like. I had this like really weird image of her, like I can still sort of picture it, but I can't describe it, but it's just like a really different looking woman, I guess. I don't know. But anyway. Vic says Burn Scar is tricky too, because she's supposed to be like emotionless, but also she's being crazy. Vale says, I really like it. The attitude makes it excellent in my opinion. Cool. So, some extra chapter thoughts here. Taylor trying to put herself out there in the shallow water on the street after she catches fire reminds me of and sort of mirrors when she burned the merchant woman in chapter 13.3, and that woman had been trying to put herself out into shallow water and had to be dragged to other water by somebody else. Vale says, and Mannequin has this feel like a 5-year-old boy who got caught and is going to be in trouble. Huh. I guess I didn't think of him like that, but yeah, kinda. He also, like, has another busted arm, which, like, shame. Oh, and I thought a dumb thought to myself while I read this chapter that Taylor needed to save Genesis because it do what Nintendo don't. Save Genesis. Anyway, for the basic chapter summary, that is all I have. Cool chapter, another good fight. I mean, this is a pretty good arc. For the characters, I took this quote for Taylor when she said, secrecy is not that important right now, when she was sending out the kids through the storm drain exit and stuff. Taylor's really going through it. She's in her awful consequences for people around her because of greater forces. You know, this is like when the Green Goblin, as played by Willem Dafoe, tried to kill, like, all those people on that tram, except if he just did. And you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, and then the tram just fell and they die. So, yeah, it's a bummer. Taylor's having a bad time. Brian, he doesn't know how to handle his teammates. Things seem to be really dire right now. But he seems on board with Taylor's attitude change at the end of the chapter. Rachel, missing in action. We don't know where she is right now. Burn scar. I don't know. I think I don't know what to think of Burn Scar, because, like, she gets really good dialogue in this chapter. I think I like her, but she's just not used that much. And I don't know, she's weird to have around as a character. But I think I like her. She's a good villain. Vale says, I love Burn Scar's power, and she has uniqueness to her character. Yeah, she's a real, like, her emotionlessness makes her pretty different from a lot of these other ones. Like, she doesn't really get riled up in the same way that most of the villains do. It's like Vic says, she's supposed to be, like, emotionless, but also she's being crazy. But yeah, cool character. Charlotte, when Taylor goes and sees the kids, she says Charlotte was with them, the eldest. So, like, the way she says that, she definitely thinks of Charlotte as, like, a little girl, even though Charlotte is the exact same age as her. But she's a children. And I'm an adult. A super bug imago. Vale says emotionless, but wants to kill and destroy. She fits the Slaughterhouse 9 in that sense. Yeah. But yeah, Charlotte's all like, don't be mad, she said in a small voice. So, yet another trauma to add to Charlotte's trauma pile, seeing all these parents killed and saving these kids. Good job, Charlotte. You've had another bad time from not leaving Brockton Bay. I don't really have that much more to say about characters. They're really, like, mannequins in the chapter, but he doesn't really do anything. He throws Burn Scar, but I don't think he's, like, I guess I should mention that Mannequin, because he's kind of a cheeky bitch, and he keeps, like, spoiling all their attempts to confuse things. So, call him a wet blanket for this. And that is his other alternate cape name, Wet Blanket. Done. Solidified. Yeah. Moving on to powers, knowledge, and world building, I just wanted to pull out the thing about Genesis Farm. My power found Genesis, but only briefly. She was big. Some sort of flying pufferfish with a hard exterior and tentacles. It was hard to imagine to piece together. She floated slowly over the streets. Greg says, as opposed to Burnscar's alt name, Hot Mess. Yeah, exactly. Favorite place to be? Burning garbage. And then, I think I'm basically at the point where I'm at 13.4. So, or the 13.4 audience participation. Do you think overall it's a good or bad thing for the Undersiders that Mannequin gave up his turn to Burnscar? And let's see what people have to say. And so Phil says, as a meta answer, using Wildbow's humor when he answered the question like this is just yes. It is a good thing for them. Meta answer using Wildbow's. Oh, so he just always says yes to stuff like this. When it's a two-sided question where yes is not it's not say. Right. Real answer. It's impossible to determine if the overall outcome would improve, but it seems that not having the territory on fire and everyone injured would be better. The eventual outcome of all seem relatively unchanged either way. And Vic, what do you think if you're still here? Do you think that that it's a good thing? I would say that one of the reasons that this is different is because, as far as I recall, in the next time they try to engage the 9, like, Burnscar isn't there because her turn is then. Whereas, like, if Burnscar was with them, I think that would have been, like, just another added difficulty to that already crazy upcoming fight. So, and then Greg says, I think it's better for the Undersiders ? If they had followed through and killed Mannequin, it's hard to imagine Jack not escalating in return. And when Taylor's already queen of escalation, I can see things spiraling into some real apocalypse-level nonsense. Instead, we get a slower boil. Plus, this way we get Burnscar giving us juicy goss about bitch. Yeah, it's true. And I kind of feel like Burnscar inadvertently helped heal the rift in the team, because all of Taylor's responses were pretty unprompted and fed into, like, bitch having a higher opinion of her, like, camaraderie between the two, I guess. I think overall it is a good thing, and the main reasons it matters are for what Greg said about, like, if they had killed Mannequin, that actually could have been, like, a huge problem. And Mannequin probably wouldn't have left the area as quickly. Like, he might have just, like, zipped around and killed people for ages. Yeah, I think the de-escalation factor is the main reason it's good, but also future assistance. Anyway, I think that's mostly all I got to say. Bit of a short one again, as it usually is with one chapters with only me. For 13.5 and 13.6, we will have the audience participation be come up with an alternative plan to Taylor's for attacking the 9. It can be serious, but joke answers are good too. And let's just dump that right into the thing. Vale says, thanks, take care. So I will read out Ye Old Links as the song spools up in the background. We've got the music used in the episode by ScarlettXOX, which you can find at twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. Our Discord server link can be found in the description of the stream and the channel. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/Wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com. And there's also a fan-made audiobook of the entire work at audioworm.rain-online. Thank you.